Problem 3, exercise 12.3 in your text. It's a very common make or buy decision. As managers, you'll make this decision hundreds of times in your career. And the key with any of these is to make sure the costs that you're looking at are truly costs that will go away. So let's take a look and see what we have here. This company makes a variety of engines, so it's in their line of business. It's in their wheelhouse. They've always produced all of their parts, including their carburetors. An outside supplier is offered to sell one type of carburetor for the cost of $35 per unit. To evaluate this offer, the company's gathered some information looking at what it costs them, they think, to make a unit. And as they look at it, their unit level cost, their per unit cost, their variable cost is $14. That's a variable cost. Their direct labor is a variable cost. That's going to certainly stay. Their variable overhead is going to stay. But let's take a look at this. They're saying it's $6 if fixed overhead is traceable. But 2/3 of that is depreciation. It has no resale value. So that really is $2. And then they tell us that the fixed manufacturing overhead that's allocated, and remember, allocated means you don't pay it, somebody else does. So we have to take that out. So now let's take a look at that with only the relevant cost involved. So if we buy it, it's $35. We know that. And if we buy 15,000 units, 15,000 times 35 is $525,000. So if we buy it, that's how much our cost is going to be. $525,000. Now, if we make it, we have our direct material, our direct labor, our overhead. But remember, our traceable overhead, we said, was really 2, because 2/3 of the 6 is depreciation on equipment that has no other use. So that's not $6, that's $2. And we're not allocating anything, because if we don't pay it, another division will. So when we take a look at that, our cost to make a unit is $24, $27, $29. $29 times 15,000 units is $435,000. So when we get rid of the allocated costs and we get rid of the advantage, the $4 in overhead that we're not going to be able to use anymore, it's actually cheaper for us to continue to make these. So the value to us to make these is $90,000. Or $6 per unit, because this company will make them for $35, we can make them for $29, so we can save $6 per unit. So based on that information, hell yeah, we should continue to make them. We should reject the offer to buy and make them ourselves. It saves us money. Now, the next part of the problem says what we did, number 1. We figured out the cost. Should it be accepted? No. The next part of the problem says, suppose that if the carburetors were purchased, assume, we could use the freed capacity to launch a new product. The segment margin of the new product would be $150,000 per year. Given the new assumption, what would be the best choice? Should they buy the 15,000 or should they continue to make them? Well, that changes things quite a bit, because now we have to look at that 150,000 as opportunity cost. If we purchase them, it's $525,000. That hasn't changed. But our cost of making is $435,000. That hasn't changed. But we now have this $150,000 opportunity cost. That's new. If we don't make them, we can make this, and that'll yield another $150,000. So that's $585,000 that it will cost us to make them, $525,000 to buy them. So in this case, the financial advantage of buying the carburetor is $60,000 when you consider the opportunity cost. Now, they have to be pretty certain that opportunity cost is real, that they'll be able to get that. Because if they make the decision based on that and cannot generate that margin, they've got a bigger problem.